number blocks 1 and 2 times table, and multiplication starting from 1 to 30.
Number blocks 1 and 2 times 1 equal 1 and 2. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 2 equal 2 and 4. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 3 equal 3 and 6. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 4 equal 4 and 8. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 5 equal 5 and 10. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 6 equal 6 and 12. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 7 equal 7 and 14. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 8 equal 8 and 16. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 9 equal 9 and 18. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 10 equal 10 and 20. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 11 equal 11 and 22. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 12 equal 12 and 24. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 13 equal 13 and 26. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 14 equal 14 and 28. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 15 equal 15 and 30. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 16 equal 16 and 32. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 17 equal 17 and 34. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 18 equal 18 and 36. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 19 equal 19 and 38. Number Number blocks 1 and 2 times 20 equal 20 and 40. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 21 equal 21 and 42. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 22 equal 22 and 44. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 23 equal 23 and 46. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 24 equal 24 and 44. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 25 equal 25 and 50. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 26 equal 26 and 52. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 27 equal 27 and 54. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 28 equal 28 and 56. Number blocks 1 and 2 times 29 equal 29 and 58.
Number blocks 1 and 2 times 30
equal 30 and 60.
Number blocks 3 and 4 times 1 to 20.
3 and 4 times 1 equal 3 and 4. 3 and 4 times 2 equal 6 and 8. 3 and 4 times 3 equal 9 and 12. 3 and 4 times 4 equal 12 and 16. 3 and 4 times 5 equal 15 and 20. 3 and 4 times 6 18 and 24. 3 and 4 times 7 equal 21 and 28. 3 and 4 times 8 equal 24 and 32. 3 and 4 times 9 equal 27 and 36. 3 and 4 times 10 equal 30 and 40. 3 and 4 times 11 equal 33 and 44. 3 and 4 times 12 equal 36 and 48. 3 and 4 times 13 equal 39 and 54. 3 and 4 times 14 equal 42 and 56. 3 and 4 times 15 equal 45 and 60. 3 and 4 times 16 equal 48 and 64. 3 and 4 times 17 equal 51 and 68. 3 and 4 times 18 equal 54 and 72. 3 and 4 times 19 equal 57 and 76. 3 and 4 times 20 equal 60 and 80.
Numberblocks 5 and 6 times table. Times 1 to 30. 5 and 6 times 1 equal 5 and 6. 5 and 6 times 2 equal 10 and 12. 5 and 6 times 3 equal 15 and 18. 5 and 6 times 4 equal 20 and 24. 5 and 6 times 5 equal 25 and 30. 5 and 6 times 6 equal 30 and 36. 5 and 6 times 7 equal 35 and 42. 5 and 6 times 8 equal 40 and 48. 5 and 6 times 9 equal 45 and 54. 5 and 6 times 10 equal 50 and 60. 5 and 6 times 11 equal 55 and 66. 5 and 6 times 12 equal 60 and 72. 5 and 6 times 30 equal 65 and 78. 5 and 6 times 14 equal 70 and 84. 5 and 6 times 15 equal 75 and 90. 5 and 6 times 16 equal 80 and 98. 5 and 6 times 17 equal 85 and 102. 5 and 6 times 80 equal 90 and 108. 5 and 6 times 19 equal 95 and 114. 5 and 6 times 20 equal 100 and 120. 5 and 6 times 21 equal 105 and 126. 5 and 6 times 22 equal 110 and 132. 5 and 6 times 23 equal 115 and 138. 5 and 6 times 24 equal 120 and 144. 5 and 6 times 25 equal 125 and 150. 5 and 6 times 26 equal 130 and 156. 5 and 6 times 27 equal 135 and 162. 5 and 6 times 28 equal 140 and 168. 5 and 6 times 29 equal 145 and 174. 5 and 6 times 30 equal 150 and 180. Number blocks 10 and 20 times 1 to 50. 10 and 20 times 1 equal 10 and 20. 10 and 20 times 2 equal 20 and 40. 10 and 20 times 3 equal 30 and 60. 10 and 20 times 4 equal 40 and 80. 10 and 20 times 5 equal 50 and 100. 10 and 20 times 6 equal 60 and 120. 10 and 20 times 7 equal 70 and 140. 10 and 20 times 8 equal 80 and 160. 10 and 20 times 9 equal 90 and 180. 10 and 20 times 10 equal 100 and 200. 10 and 20 times 11 equal 110 and 220. 10 and 20 times 12 equal 120 and 240. 10 and 20 times 13 equal 130 and 260. 10 and 20 times 14 equal 140 and 280. 10 and 20 times 15 equal 150 and 300. 10 and 20 times 16 equal 160 and 320. 10 and 20 times 17 equal 170 and 340. 10 and 20 times 18 equal 180 and 360. 10 and 20 times 19 equal 190 and 380. 10 and 20 times 20 equal 200 and 400.
10 and 20 times 21 equal 210 and 420. 10 and 20 times 22 equal 220 and 440. 10 and 20 times 23 equal 230 and 460. 10 and 20 times 24 equal 240 and 480. 10 and 20 times 25 equal 250 and 500. 10 and 20 times 26 equal 260 and 520. 10 and 20 times 27 equal 270 and 540. 10 and 20 times 28 equal 280 and 560. 10 and 20 times 29 equal 290 and 580. 10 and 20 times 30 equal 300 and 600. 10 and 20 times 31 equal 310 and 620. 10 and 20 times 32 equal 320 and 640. 10 and 20 times 33 equal 330 and 660. 10 and 20 times 34 equal 340 and 680. 10 and 20 times 35 equal 350 and 700. 10 and 20 times 36 equal 360 and 720. 10 and 20 times 37 equal 370 and 740. 10 and 20 times 38 equal 380 and 760. 10 and 20 times 39 equal 390 and 780. 10 and 20 times 40 equal 400 and 800. 10 and 20 times 41 equal 410 and 820. 10 and 20 times 42 equal 420 and 840. 10 and 20 times 43 equal 430 and 860. 10 and 20 times 44 equal 440 and 880. 10 and 20 times 45 equal 450 and 900. 10 and 20 times 46 equal 460 and 920. 10 and 20 times 47 equal 470 and 940. 10 and 20 times 48 equal 480 and 960. 10 and 20 times 49 equal 490 and 980. 10 and 20 times 50 equal 500 and 1,000.